Hey guys, I'm here with Tate and Laura, and we're just going to go into some conversations about how to manage money and manage it well. So, what do you guys do?
Currently, I'm a stay-at-home mom. We have a 5-year-old daughter, Anna, and then this is Judah, and he's 3. So I've been staying home for a year and a half. Prior to that, I was in banking. I was a loan officer and a manager at a bank for 13 and a half years. So I get to stay at home now.
And I work at Goodall Homes. I'm a project manager. I oversee new home construction, and I've been there for about 5 years.
Awesome. Laura, can you share just a little bit about how you are able to be a stay-at-home mom?
We are very big into budgeting and personal finance. We're very passionate about that. So we, for about a year, got our budget down as low as we possibly could. And we were able to pay off our house right before I quit work, which was a huge, huge blessing. So now we have zero debt, and that makes it way easier to be able to stay at home.
And when you were about to stay home, when Laura was about to stay home, she was actually making more money than I was. She'd been in her job for a long time. I was just a couple years in. And so she had a higher salary, so we were going to be losing the higher salary and trying to live off of the lower salary. So working down the budget and trying to get that as low as possible was a huge game changer.
That's awesome. So, how old are you guys?
We are both 36, almost 37. We're getting old.
No, not at all. So, I just want to reiterate, 36 and they have a paid off house, which that's what we're going to kind of get into now is going into college. Did you have any financial goals?
No. On being on this side of things, I really wish I would have had a class like the one that you guys have a chance to participate with Jenny. I don't know what you call her. I call her Jenny. Miss Jenny. Being a teacher, I didn't have that. I didn't have financial goals. I was raised pretty smart with money. My parents didn't live extravagantly. We didn't buy fancy things or, fancy cars. They lived well within their means, and so I had that advantage, but I didn't, and we were kind of loosely taught about budgeting, but I didn't know a lot of those things, so I had zero financial goals going into or coming out of college.
Right.
I probably did. I grew up, my dad is very, very good with finances, so I was taught from an early age. I started working on the farm when I was 8. And I got paid and started paying for my own clothing, everything since I was like 8 years old. So I'm kind of the other extreme. But my goals were to stay out of debt, if at all possible, through college because I just knew that starting at zero was way better than starting at negative once I was done with college.
So what are some of the decisions that you made entering college that have allowed you to be as successful as you are at 36 with a paid-for house and all of that?
So for me, I had just a little bit of scholarships. I went to a private school for 1 year and got scholarships to there, and then I decided to transfer to UT Knoxville, which was much cheaper, for my next 3 years. But I worked hard on the farm all summer to pay for half my school, and then I was blessed that my parents paid for the other half. But they wanted to make me work for it. So I didn't just get a free ride, and I also didn't have to do the debt thing. So that was huge.
I think the biggest factor for me was that I had the opportunity to go to Tennessee Tech on a nearly full scholarship. The 3 schools that I had applied to at the time were Duke, and then SC, which is Southern California, not South Carolina. I did not get accepted into Duke. I wasn't quite that smart, but I did get accepted into USC. Went on a campus visit with my dad. I loved it. It was awesome, the big city, and I really, really wanted to go there. But just through a lot of thinking and praying and talking with my family, I had an uncle who strongly advised me not to do that, largely for the loans. I think at that time it was about $40,000 a year, and I would have had to take most of that out in student loans to pay for that. And so I decided to not go that route. Went to Tennessee Tech, where at that time the Hope Scholarship was brand new. At that time, I was able to get my ACT score high enough to get the higher level of Hope Scholarship, and I'm half Puerto Rican, so I had a minority scholarship to Tennessee Tech as well. And that was a huge game changer because I didn't have any financial goals. But like Laura mentioned before, I was at least able to get out of school with very, very minimal loans that my parents actually wound up helping pay for, which was a huge blessing. But it was like $5,000 after 4.5 years.
Wow.
And really most of it was that last semester that my scholarships didn't cover because it was a 4-year scholarships I had. And so I was able to at least come out of school kind of at a net zero rather than being, behind the 8 ball and in a lot of debt before I got started. So going to state school at Tech, still got a great education. It's a really good quality school with scholarships was a huge game changer for me.
So were there sacrifices that you guys had to make while you were in college and potentially even in your, young adult years to be where you are today?
I would say yes, absolutely. I think not caring so much about what people think is huge. You hear the saying, not trying to keep up with the Joneses. That is also huge. And working hard and staying focused on the goals that I had through college. And then we did not get married until we were 30. But the goals that we set as a married couple too, just staying focused and not trying to keep up with other people with material things.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, I can. So were there sacrifices that you had to make in order to be kind of where you are today, whether it was in college or as a young adult?
Yeah, I mean, similar to Laura, we didn't even meet until we were 27 or 28. So through college and through my 20s, I was a single guy, but lived pretty simply. At one point, I was living out in Hawaii and bought a $750 car that I drove around out there like it was cheap, but I didn't care. So, I didn't go into a lot of debt. I had an apartment that I split with several roommates to make it affordable. And then, coming back here, I had to eat a little bit of humble pie and live with my parents for a few months when I was transitioning into a new job. And so, that was probably about a 6-month stint. And then I wound up borrowing again money from my parents to buy a car. This was a pretty nice car. It cost about $5,400 that I still remember. And I paid them back every single penny. But it was a 2003 Tahoe, which I bought in 2012. So it was already 9 or 10 years old. But it was really, really nice compared to my 1994 Nissan Maxima. And so, I was able to buy what I consider a really, really nice car for not that much money, but I never, again, lived extravagant, never used credit cards to live off of, always, kept an eye on my budget and stayed strict with my money to make sure that I was not ever spending more than what I was making.
That's awesome. I think today a lot of people don't know how to do that. Spend less than what they make. So that's a great thing. So what decisions can you share that helped you get to where you are today with some high school students?
Number one for me is I learned through my youth group about tithing, so giving 10% to my church. So I would say learning to be generous with what I had from an early age has really gotten me and us where we are today. And I think learning to be content no matter what we have is huge. I would say that's number one. Not always chasing the next big thing, just to compete with someone else or to have the nicer car and the nicer house and the bigger this, bigger that. I think just contentment is number one. And
then to add on to that, just simplicity, keeping things simple. Even though I've gotten pay raises at work and we have, extra money in the budget, we still keep basically the same monthly budget that we started, almost 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, whenever she began staying at home. We keep the same budget because that's what we need to live on. And we haven't, inflated our lifestyle to match our income. So that's been really, really huge. And contentment, simplicity, and keeping that budget that Jenny mentioned, and just living on less than what you make is huge, because when that happens, you know you're going to be taken care of for that month. You know you're going to have enough or even surplus if you set your budget as a hard number, and then if there's any extra, you can save that or use that for travel or whatever it may be. But you know that every single month you're going to be taken care of because you're living on less than what you are taking in.
Yeah. Is there one thing that you would tell your high school self to do differently at this age?
Differently. I would say to myself to set goals and work extra hard to achieve them, but at the same time, don't take life so seriously. You all are told probably every day, you got to know what you're doing for the rest of your life. You don't.
No.
You absolutely don't. So I put way too much pressure on myself when I was younger. And I guess I would just say, realize that not every decision is a forever decision, except for marriage. But your college major, your career, your job, kids are a major forever decision, are not forever. So don't overthink everything. Don't stress about every single decision that you make. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I've got a degree in civil engineering that I don't use.
Never really used it.
Never used it. That's a whole story for another day. But it's important to still get your degree and graduate and have that. But like she said, whatever the degree is in doesn't necessarily matter. A couple things that probably the two main things that I would think of, like one, just in terms of personality and character, is hard work. Is not going to go unnoticed. Whatever job, whatever career you take, you can do anything. But if you work at it hard and you do a good job, you will get noticed. And because of that, you will get recognition, you'll get promoted, you'll get job opportunities. And even if it's something as simple as working at a restaurant or being a server or taking a landscape position with a landscape company, I mean, whatever it is, just work hard. Give your all to that. Give your best effort, and that effort's not going to go unnoticed because not everybody's willing to work hard. And so, good bosses and good managers will recognize when people work hard. And there's some jobs that I had when I was younger that I wish I would have put a little more effort and energy into. And then the second one, which I don't know, this is off the script here, but I wish I would have known a little bit about Vanguard as far as investing. My parents taught me about saving, and so I was aware of saving, but I never knew how to invest or to make my money grow. And so, like a Vanguard, Roth IRA, if I would have known those three things, Vanguard, Roth IRA, and been able to look those up on the internet, like I have the ability to do now, that would have changed the way I invested, so that coming into this point of life, there's something called the time value of money. And the earlier that you can begin investing, that money is only going to grow more and more. And that's something that you can never, ever get back, is that time that you have money invested. And I just didn't know about that. And so that would have been a huge game changer going into high school and even college and in my early working career to just be able to set aside a little bit of money to actually invest into a Roth IRA.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Jenny.